Hello, AP students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have notes for Chapter 14, Social Psychology. And we're going to talk a little bit about constructing social reality. So, constructing social reality, what influences our judgments of others? So, social situations do not account for everything that people do. For example, it does not account for individual differences we see in people's choices of friends, romantic partners, nor does it account for their prejudices. To explain these patterns we find in social psychology, we need to understand how we construct our social reality. So, social reality is an individual's subjective interpretation of other people and the relationships with them. Social reality that we construct determines whom we find attractive, whom we find threatening, whom we seek out, and whom we avoid. So, interpersonal attraction. We are attracted to people who have something to offer us. We tend to like those who give us gifts or agree with us or act friendly towards us, people who share our interests, entertain us, and help us in our times of needs. We shrink from relationships that merely take from us and offer us nothing in return. In the best relationships, such as friendships, partnerships, or marriage or business relationships, both parties receive rewards. The reward theory. We usually prefer rewarding relationships. Most relationships can be seen as an exchange of benefits. The benefits could be some combination of money or material possessions, or the exchange might involve something intangible like praise, status, and information. There is something known as the reward theory of attraction. In social learning, this is a view that says that we like best those who give us maximum rewards at the minimum cost. This theory was developed by Elliot Aronson back in 2004. And social psychologists have found 4 especially powerful sources of reward that predict interpersonal attraction: proximity, similarity, self-disclosure, and finally, physical attractiveness. So let's talk about the proximity. Our closest relationships and the people that we see most often are the people who live and work nearest to us. College dormitories, the residents often become close friends with the people who live in the next room, or they do with the people who live 2 doors down. Than they do with the 2 doors down. Residents of apartments make friendships more among people who live on the same floor than those on other floors. Those who live in neighborhoods often become friends with occupants of the houses next door than with people that are 2 doors away. The principle of proximity is the notion that the people that we at work will make friends among those who are nearby with whom they have the most contact. Proximity basically means nearness, and this may account for the fact that many people end up married to the boy or the girl who lives next door. Proximity rules say that with the nearest one, the rewards are equal, but the cost is less in time and inconvenience. Familiarity more often breeds friendships. Similarity. People usually find it more rewarding to strike up a friendship with someone who shares their attitudes, interests, values, and experiences than to bother with people who are disagreeable or different. If 2 people have just discovered that they share taste in music, politics, and attitudes towards education, they will probably hit it off because they have, in effect, exchanged a compliment that reward each other for the taste and the attitudes that they share. The similarity principle. This is the notion that people are attracted to those who are the most similar to themselves. This explains why teenagers are most likely to make friends with those who share their political and religious views, educational aspirations, attitudes towards music, and attitudes towards alcohol and drugs. Self-disclosure, good friends and lovers share intimate details about themselves. This practice not only allows people to know each other more deeply, but sends signals of trust. Physical attractiveness. People usually find it more rewarding to associate with people they consider physically attractive than those that they consider to be plain or homely. Potential employers prefer good-looking job candidates to plainer applicants. Attractive children are judged happier and more competent than their peers. The principle of attractiveness applies equally to same-sex and opposite-sex relationships. Both males and females are strongly influenced by physical attractiveness, but men seem to be more influenced by looks than women are. While we usually associate positive qualities with attractive individuals, extreme attractiveness can be a liability. Physical attractive people are seen as more poised, interesting, sociable, independent, exciting, sexual, intellectual, and well-adjusted and successful, and they are perceived as more vain and materialistic. Exceptions of the reward theory of attractiveness or attraction. Principles of social cognition operate behind some of the interesting exceptions to a reward theory of attraction. So, exceptions and the influence of self-esteem. Most people end up with friends and mates whom they judge to be about the same level of their attractiveness. And this is called the matching hypothesis. Okay, this can predict that most people will find friends and mates that are perceived to be about the same level of attractiveness. The expectancy value theory is a theory in social psychology that people decide whether to pursue a relationship by weighing the potential value of the relationship against their expectations of success in establishing the relationship. People with low opinions of themselves tend to establish relationship with people who share their view, often with people who devalue them. Such individuals generally feel a stronger commitment to a relationship when the partner thinks poorly of them than when the partner thinks well of them. Those individuals who appear to be extremely competent can also be losers in the expectancy value game. Most of us keep such people at a distance, probably because we fear that they will be quick to reject our approaches. When highly competent individuals commit minor blunders, like spilling a drink or dropping a shell or a sheet of paper, people actually like them better, probably because the blunders bring them down to everyone else's level and it normalizes them. Attraction and self-justification. There is something called cognitive dissonance, and this is a highly motivating state in which people have conflicting cognitions, especially when their voluntary actions conflict with their attitudes. This theory offers an explanation for mental adjustments that occur in people who voluntarily undergo unpleasant experiences. Semper Fidelis. This is the Marine's motto of always faithful. To become a Marine, one must endure grueling physical conditioning, such as the lack of sleep, lack of privacy, being yelled at, suffering punishments for small infractions of rules. So it seems strange that recruits develop so much loyalty to their organization, hence this cognitive dissonance. So, according to this theory, people are motivated to avoid uncomfortable states of dissonance. If they find themselves experiencing cognitive dissonance, they might attempt to reduce it, and this can be done by two ways, by changing one's behavior or changing one's cognitions. A recruit experiencing cognitive dissonance, therefore, is motivated to adjust his or her thinking. Most likely, the recruit will resolve the dissonance by rationalizing the experience and developing a stronger loyalty to the organization. Cognitive dissonance theory says that when people's cognitions and actions are in conflict, a state of dissonance, they often reduce the conflicts by changing their thinking to fit their behavior. The explanation or exploratory power of dissonance. Despite cultural variations, cognitive dissonance theories explain many things that people do to justify their behaviors. It explains why smokers often rationalize their habits. It explains why people who have put efforts into a project become more committed to the cause as the time goes on in order to justify their efforts. Cognitive dissonance, their theory helps us understand certain puzzling social relationships, such as a woman who is attracted to a man who abuses her. Her dissonance might be summed up in this thought: why am I staying with someone who hurts me? Her powerful drive for self-justification may make her reduce the dissonance by focusing on his good points and minimizing the abuse. Cognitive dissonance theory predicts that people are attracted to those whom they have agreed to suffer. Thank you very much.